Under the bright storm of lights inside the Staples Center, the night felt like it wanted to swallow the city whole. The crowd, a sea of Argentine blue and Mexican tricolor, pulsed with anticipation, roaring in a rhythm that made the canvas tremble long before the first punch was even thrown. This was more than a fight. This was a collision of two boxing nations, two battle-hardened warriors, two stories carved in sweat and sacrifice. From Argentina came Matthysse, the heavy-handed destroyer, a natural 140-pounder whose punches carried the weight of 30 victories and 28 knockouts. He walked to the ring wearing the calm of a man who knows the violence in his gloves needs no introduction. Opposite him stood Mexico's proud technician, Humberto Soto, a two-time world champion, a survivor of countless wars, a craftsman who carved victories with precision and grit. Soto had insisted this be 10 rounds, demanded it even, because he wanted equality, he wanted danger, and most of all, he wanted closure after years of battles that shaped him into a legend. The cameras circled them like vultures waiting for history. The crowd leaned in for the first bell, and the atmosphere tightened like a drum. For Matthysse, this was another chance to prove that the setbacks against Judah and Alexander weren't the end, but the beginning. This was a declaration that skill, heart, and timing could tame pure power. When the referee called them in, the sound of leather tightening around their fists echoed like thunder. And as the bell rang, the feeling in the arena shifted from excitement to danger. The opening rounds unfolded like a chess match drenched in adrenaline. Humberto Soto stepped forward first, quick-handed and clever, stitching combinations together with the ease of a veteran who had lived through 95 rounds of violence in his last 9 fights. His jab was sharp, his footwork neat, and his rhythm unmistakably his. Fast bursts, sharp pivots, and constant angles. Matthysse, the destroyer from Relive, didn't rush. He observed. He calculated. Many of Soto's early punches bounced off Matthyisse's high guard, yet the judges saw activity, and the crowd rewarded it with applause. Soto's confidence grew with every feint, every crisp uppercut sneaking through the middle. In round 1, he boxed beautifully, exactly how he wanted. In round 2, he continued the same tune, stitching together 3-punch and 5-punch sequences that stole moments and stole breaths from the arena. He looked sharp, disciplined, unfazed. But Matthysse was not frustrated. This was a man who always started slow, a fighter who carried 10 rounds of mayhem inside him, waiting for the right second to ignite. Even as Soto scored early success, Matthyisse's face revealed nothing but patience. He was feeling the weight, the movement, the reactions. He was mapping a route to the body, a route that, if found, would change everything. For now, Soto had the edge, the activity, the tempo. But every time Matthysse touched him, even a blocked hook, the crowd felt a different kind of thud, a different kind of danger. Soto was winning the rounds. Matthysse was storing the damage. By the 3rd round, the air changed. Soto was still quick, still active, but Matthysse began stepping in with purpose, cutting the ring with a silent, predatory calm. A left hook slipped around the guard. A right hand dug into the ribs. Then another. Then another. The punches weren't wild. They were surgical cruelty, aimed at a veteran whose body had endured years of battle. Soto still fired back, still pieced together beautiful combinations. But now he was forced backward more often, his heels skidding across the canvas as Matthysse pressed him toward the ropes. The crowd could sense the shifting tide. Every time Matthysse landed to the body, Soto's guard dipped subtly, involuntarily, betraying the first signs of a war he no longer had full control of. A huge right hand in the 3rd momentarily buckled Soto, and while he answered with heart, snapping jabs and uppercuts, refusing to surrender ground, Matthysse simply absorbed it with the durability that defined his legend. By the end of the round, both fighters stood center ring, trading like pride itself hung in the balance, and the Staples Center roared in a frenzy. Round 4 intensified the pattern. Soto still worked, still showed quick hands, but Matthysse's body attack became relentless, each shot echoing through the building like a hammer striking metal. Soto's combinations were now thrown from a man trying to keep the storm away, not one controlling the rhythm. Matthysse was no longer waiting. He was hunting, and the predator was finding flesh. When the bell for round 5 sounded, Matthysse walked forward like a man who had finally found the answers he needed. Soto met him in the center again, brave and skilled as ever, but his legs no longer danced with the same spring. He threw combinations, quick and neat, trying to re-establish control, but Matthysse's responses had grown brutal. A right uppercut forced Soto's head back. A left hook curled around the guard and rattled him. The body shots, those thudding, soul-draining hooks, continued to carve away at the veteran's foundation. Even commentators noted it. Matthysse wasn't just throwing to score. He was throwing to take the fight out of him, punch by punch. Soto, a proud warrior with 14 years of combat etched into his bones, continued firing. He tried to box. He tried to adjust. He tried to survive. But Matthysse's pressure never eased, never slowed. Every time Soto found the ropes, Matthysse punished him with combinations that dug into ribs, liver, and lungs. Halfway through the round, a brutal sequence unfolded. Right hand, left hook, right uppercut, and Soto froze, hurt badly for the first time. The Staples Center gasped. Soto attempted to fire back, but Matthysse cut the ring, stepped in, and delivered another crushing right hand that sent the Mexican star stumbling. His legs betrayed him, the energy drained from his torso. The body shots of 5 rounds finally screamed their revenge. Soto was wounded. Matthysse smelled blood. In the final seconds of the 5th round, a monstrous right hand detonated clean on Soto's jaw. And everything he'd endured, the bodywork, the pressure, the relentless pace, finally collapsed into one moment. Soto dropped, folding to the canvas with the shock of a man overwhelmed by cumulative punishment. Not a single punch. The crowd erupted, half roaring in triumph, half in shock that a warrior who had never been down in his professional career had finally fallen. Soto tried to rise. His heart demanded it. His pride demanded it. The referee counted, and Soto beat it, barely, but his eyes betrayed the truth. His legs trembled, his body leaned, his heart was willing, but the body was failing him. As he returned to his corner, his trainer looked into his eyes and saw what the crowd couldn't: exhaustion masked as courage. The cornerman shook his head, his voice heavy with responsibility. "Look at me. Look at me. How are you feeling?" Soto tried to answer, but the strain was visible. The damage was deep. The trainer made the call no fighter wants to hear, but every great trainer must make. "We're stopping the fight." In that moment, the roar of the arena faded into a stunned silence, not of disappointment, but of respect. Soto had given everything he had. Matthysse had broken through with power few in the division could withstand. The bell for round 6 never came. When the referee waved it off officially, the Staples Center exhaled at once, as if the entire crowd had been holding its breath for 5 rounds. The announcer stepped into the center of the ring, his voice echoing beneath the lights. "Ladies and gentlemen, by way of knockout, the new WBC Continental America's super lightweight champion, Matthysse." The crowd exploded, Argentine flags whipping through the air as Matthysse lifted his gloves in quiet triumph. This was more than a win. This was redemption, a reminder that the power in his hands was real, undeniable, and unforgiving. This was the Matthysse many feared, the Matthysse who carved his victories not with volume but with violence. Yet even in defeat, Humberto Soto walked out of that ring with the dignity only warriors earn. He had boxed beautifully early, fought bravely throughout, and taken punishment no ordinary fighter survives. His legacy didn't dim that night. It strengthened, but the night belonged to Matthysse. He had endured the slick combinations, the movement, the early deficit. He had weathered the storm like only a destroyer can. Then, like a sculptor chiseling away at stone, he carved victory through bodywork, pressure, and pure will. As the cameras panned across the roaring crowd, one truth stood clear. This was the night Lucas Matthysse reminded the world that power, real power, does not need permission. It only needs a moment. And on that night in Los Angeles, he seized it and ended the war in 5 unforgettable rounds.